Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for Medicare on Mondays with Grace Marie Horan, the Medicare Whisperer. The topic today is going to be Medicare guidance when somebody has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia. My guest today is Lauren Velakos, the CEO of the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center. Thank you for joining me, Lauren.
Thank you for having me, Grace.
Lauren, can you please let us know what ADRC is and where they are located?
Definitely, I'm happy to. So the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center is a local nonprofit organization. We've been around since 1983, serving local families on Long Island. And really the mission of our organization is to provide support and resources to caregivers and those who are impacted by the disease.
And where are you located?
We are in East Islip, but we serve families throughout Long Island. And we're very excited to announce that we have a new partnership with Caring Kind from New York City. And we're currently in a partnership status, but as we await our approval by the New York State Attorney General for a full merger.
Oh, very good.
Yes, it's very exciting. And one of the benefits so far has been the expansion of having now a helpline for local Long Island families. So when they reach out to us, whether it's the weekend or late at night, they'll be able to be connected with a dementia navigator who can provide crisis counseling or answer any questions or concerns that they may have.
And what is the difference between the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center and other organizations that provide services for Alzheimer's and
That's a great question. And so there are many organizations that are serving individuals who are impacted, but their mission all varies a little bit. The Alzheimer's Association has really been focused on trying to find a cure for the disease. And they put a lot of money back behind research and exploring finding a cure for the disease. Our organization is a little different in that we're not trying to find a cure. We're just trying to support caregivers and meet them where they're at today. There's another organization on Long Island called LIAD, and they provide what you call a social model day program. And so people who are impacted by the disease during the day, they can go to programs that are structured and really help to stimulate their brain. It is a drop-off program, and it really provides an opportunity for caregivers to get a little respite during the day.
Mm-hmm. And those day programs are not covered by Medicare. You either have to self-pay for those programs or have Medicaid to have those programs covered.
Correct.
What is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia?
That's a great question. So often people get these two confused. The best way to think about it is that dementia is really this umbrella term, very much like the word cancer. And then under dementia, you have different forms of the diseases. And one of those diseases is Alzheimer's disease. Another disease is called Lewy body dementia. Another is frontal temporal dementia. Even Parkinson's disease is actually a form of dementia. And really that word dementia means a disease that is impacting the brain.
And what are the first steps when you're diagnosed?
I think some of the first steps when someone gets a diagnosis within a family is for the family to come together and really begin to just think about planning. It's really important that families start beginning to have conversations about plans because the disease is a progressive disease. And so while the individual, when they first usually get a diagnosis, they still have the ability to make very sound decisions. And so this is the time where they should be speaking with their family, having those conversations about care, because as the disease progresses, the level of care they're going to need is going to increase.
And who diagnoses them? What type of doctor?
Often it's a neurologist, but I would encourage families that you can set a baseline with your primary care doctor. So as families or individuals go once a year for their wellness exam, they should be having some of these conversations. Oftentimes, Grace, we have some insight into things that are happening to us. So we might realize within our own selves, I've been struggling lately with these things. And it's not just, I forgot my keys or, where are my glasses? It's really about executive function. And so when we notice within ourselves, wow, I can't seem to follow the recipe of like the cookies I always made, like something seems off. It really is an opportunity to kind of share something like that with your primary care doctor, because you can set up a base and then your primary care doctor can refer you to a neurologist who can do more tests and really ask more thoughtful questions to kind of find out what is going on. Sometimes it's always not dementia. Sometimes with cognitive decline, it could be something where someone has really bad sleep apnea, or maybe they're having hearing loss issues. And sometimes the symptoms will prevent like cognitive decline, but it could be something else. And so that's why it's often best to start kind of with your primary care doctor.
And do you know what specific tests do they do for that?
So once you are visiting with a neurologist, they'll often prescribe a PET scan, and really that they're trying to get imaging of your brain, and what they're looking for are plaques on your brain. And it's these different plaques called amyloid protein and tau that will build up in between the neurons, and we already have these plaques happening in our brain in normal amounts. What happens is they start kind of overproducing, and they bond to the neurons, and the neurons, while they would normally talk to each other, they get so cluttered by the proteins that they begin to die off and they can't talk to each other. And so the PET scan is really looking for how much of that protein buildup is happening within the brain. Sometimes the PET scans are a little inconclusive, and now they've developed what they call blood biomarker tests. And sometimes these are not always covered by insurance. So, it's very tricky right now. There is federal legislation and even legislation in New York State where people are really advocating that these should be covered, because the blood biomarker tests that they have developed can really show much more clearly the amount of proteins within the brain. And so people can get more of a concrete diagnosis, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it has to be medically necessary to Medicare to cover the test.
Correct.
So it may take a little longer for Medicare to come on board. So you might have to self-pay if you really feel the need to do it.
And with a disease like this, Grace, time is of the essence, in all honesty, because it is a progressive disease. And so, you notice something happening in yourself, and you get kind of the news like, well, you have to wait 8 months for a neurologist. Those 8 months can make a huge difference. And so exactly right. Depending on how you're feeling about the situation, we do work with some neurologists who are private pay only, but you might be able to get in next week, 2 weeks from now, and might be able to get these tests that can be a lot more conclusive. Because, to be very frank, a lot of the drugs that we're hearing that are coming out on the market, and some of these intravenous drugs, are really for people in the very, very early stages of the disease. And so if you're having to wait to get a diagnosis and even learn more, you could be kind of missing that window to actually be
Proactive.
Correct, and meet the requirements for these kinds of drug treatments that they have.
And you may have to change your Medicare plan. It might be more beneficial to go to a supplement if you're in an Advantage plan. So that might be covered. So you definitely want to look into that when the diagnosis comes, or even before you go doing any testing. In this state, we're community rated. No one will ask any questions. We can move you from one plan to the next, and you can be checked. But in other states, they will do underwriting on you. So we need to do proactive with our Medicare.
Yeah, it's good advice.
And any other preventative tests that you know offhand that are coming out?
There's a lot of research now, and I think folks are even hearing this as well. Probably about 25 years ago, we weren't talking as much about Alzheimer's. There weren't drugs, and now a lot of money and research is happening because the boomers are getting older, they're retiring, and they're even seeing the need now. A lot more folks are being impacted by cognitive decline, and as a society, we want to have answers.
And it's happening earlier and earlier.
Definitely,
than
yes.
it used to.
Correct. That's a good point.
And are there certain medications out there? Are you aware of any medications?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned a few. As I said, they have different intravenous drugs. The thing that people really need to understand is that none of these medications that may be offered to you are going to cure the disease. They're going to slow down the progression. They might slow down the buildup of the protein, which might increase your quality of life for a year or two longer. However, that's all they're really going to do.
Important.
For some people, 100%. They also have sometimes, depending on your loved one, often with the disease, people's behaviors change. And so you might have an individual who is very calm, maybe they get agitated or they get aggressive. So they do have some psychotropic drugs out for sometimes of those behaviors, but each family has to make a decision on whether they think that's appropriate or not for their individual.
So when you're prescribed different medications, we have to see if it's covered under the Part B or the Part D. So you need to look at that because, again, you might need to change your plan. And if it's not covered, we can get assistance sometimes through the companies. We will help you and guide you in getting some assistance. It's usually income-based, but sometimes the income could be quite high. So you really have to check. Every medication is different, what the income guidelines are. And tell us some of the services when you do the intake process, when someone reaches out to you.
Yes. When a family reaches out to ADRC, and sometimes families connect with us in different manners. Sometimes we have our location, as I said, in East Islip. We're located on Carlton Avenue, right off of Sunrise Highway, very easy. Someone might just walk through the door because they saw our sign outside. And, they have a lot going on oftentimes when people first come to us. Oftentimes, other ways, they'll reach out to us by phone. One thing about our organization, we don't actually require a set diagnosis. So a family will reach out to us. Usually our first step is to set up what we call a care consultation with our social worker. And our social worker will meet with them. We can meet them in our office in East Islip. We can meet them where they live. So we will travel. Maybe they live out in Southampton. We'll meet them out there in the public library. We'll even do a Zoom, whatever is the most convenient for the caregiver, and really hear what's going on. How can we provide services? What are they looking for? Sometimes folks just need some crisis counseling, to be very honest. They're not really sure. Sometimes individuals have gotten a diagnosis and been sent home with their lollipop, and it's well, now what? What do we do? And they don't even have another appointment for 8 months. So families come to us, we hear their story, and then we really try to provide guidance. We do a lot of education with families. It's a little bit like you don't know what you don't know. And so with families, once they get a diagnosis, we try to get them to think about planning. I know you're a big advocate of planning as well, talking to them about the importance of healthcare practices, long-term care planning, all of those pieces. So even if they're not there yet, those conversations are beginning to happen. And even about the disease themselves. Sometimes as a caregiver, you don't really understand the disease that's happening to your loved one. And you're under a lot of stress and pressure. And what we'll see with caregivers, they might sometimes say to me, why are they doing this to me, Lauren? Why do they keep doing this? And it's really about education. Your loved one's not doing anything. Their brain isn't working right anymore. And so they're exhibiting these behaviors now. And to be fair to caregivers, they know that too. But they're just struggling.
The caregiver's job's the hardest.
Correct.
That's what I tell my clients
Correct.
when they
Yeah,
call
you
me.
see, I get...
A lot of caregivers call me, and
Yes.
it's a very hard job to take care of.
Correct.
So of the different programs you offer, you have so many wonderful programs.
Yes.
The Memory Cafe, I have
Yeah.
sponsored that. Why don't you tell people what that is?
Yes. Oh, so our Memory Cafe is wonderful. So sometimes families are a little embarrassed or may not go out with their loved one, but yet they still want to enjoy life and have fun. So within our office and our program space, we will establish a cafe. We'll order catered food. We hire a live musician, and we have such an amazing turnout. We might get 30 families to come out and just spend 2 hours with us and enjoying a meal, having fun, dancing, and really the best benefit, Grace, is that the caregivers now have an opportunity to talk to each other.
And support for each other.
Yeah. And
Somebody
then
who's dealing with what you
yeah,
have.
and then they start having their own little community, and they start exchanging cell phone numbers. And then what happens if someone doesn't show up? Where's so-and-so? How come they're not here? And they're really looking out for each other. And those folks really need that. And so, yes, it's a wonderful program.
And you have a boxing program?
Oh my gosh, yes. We just had this on Friday. I'm so glad that you asked. So we work with a professional boxer. Oh my goodness, it was packed. We had 45 people. He comes in, he's got pool noodles, he's got kind of slide-on boxing gloves, and they box it out, hitting the pool noodles. Everybody is smiling, enjoying themselves. And again, for some of our families, it's just purpose. It's a reason to get up in the morning. Hey, get dressed. We're going to ADRC today. We're going to go have a little lunch, and then we got chair boxing at 2 o'clock. Let's go.
Oh, so they're in a chair.
Yeah, and so even the caregivers participate. That's the beauty of our programs, too. We talked a little bit about some of the other organizations, and a lot of those organizations, you drop off your loved one. Our programs you actually enjoy together with your loved one, because we feel caregivers are doing a lot of caregiving.
And they need care too.
Yeah, but they also want to have some fun, and they want to have meals, and they want to dance, and so exactly.
And you also have music and movement?
Yup, so same thing. We recognize that people really enjoy music. They feel good when they move their bodies. Our caregivers, we've done actually surveys. There's evidence-based research that when folks kind of enter into the space, they're stressed, they're agitated. They might have had to do a lot to arrive, and then after an hour of music and a little movement and dance, they feel much better. Their cortisol levels have decreased, and they just feel a sense of this was really enjoyable. They see their loved one who maybe is not even verbal or moves a lot, tapping their feet. You look over, I have a gentleman in a wheelchair, all of a sudden he's tapping, he's like this,
Feel.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And I've gone to your art program. It's a wonderful program which has expanded greatly over the
Yes.
years. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so another program that we're incredibly proud of is our art expression program. We actually partner with many of the communities throughout Long Island that have a memory care facility, and we train their recreational therapists in art expression. And our art expression program is really based off an artist and her daughter named Berner Hubner. And the mom, who had been an artist, when she developed dementia, the daughter felt like she was lost to her. And she brought in some watercolors, and all of a sudden the mom perked up and she began to paint. And she said, I remember better when I paint.
Stimulation.
Yes. And so we do the same kind of program. We have 22 locations. Every month we offer different themes. We provide high-end art supplies. And then that program actually culminates into an amazing art show that we put on. You see, I get so
I know I was saying.
I get so passionate because it's just wonderful.
And every year you have a walk.
Yes.
Can you please go over the walk this year?
Yeah, so our walk is actually coming up. It is going to be Saturday, June 20th. I'm going to steal a tissue. At Marjorie Post Park in Massapequa. We're very excited this year. We're going to be honoring Vicki Schneps of Schneps Media. And our MC is Antoinette Biord from News 12. And we're expecting about 500 people, Grace. We have a really wonderful day planned. We're going to have healthy snacks. We have a focus on brain health. So we're going to have a brain health pillar tent. We're going to have a dentist there. We're going to have a massage therapist for our caregivers. We're going to have a caregiver wellness tent where they can go in there and get a little hand massage. So really a wonderful day. Again, it's Saturday, June 20th at Marjorie Post Park. Folks can purchase a ticket now. All of the funds that are raised go right back into supporting the caregivers that we've been talking about.
And what time is the event?
It is from 8 a.m. in the morning until 1 p.m. It includes a 5K, but folks, if you don't want to walk a 5K, just bring your lawn chair. We have a live band. We have many, many fun activities that folks can just pop a squat and enjoy the band, or you're welcome to join us and walk the 5K. The park is beautiful.
And I will be there sponsoring. I also have formed a team, Grace Marie's Brain Walkers. So please join me either coming to the event that day or go on the website and you can click a link that'll be sent for this podcast. So you can just do a donation or reach out to me if you don't want to do that. And let's put some support into the Alzheimer's and dementia.
Thank you.
And let's just give a little bit of guidance before we wrap up for the home, guidance for caregivers.
Yes.
So when you're staying home and what we need to do, the guidance you offer them.
So for caregivers, there's actually a lot of new programs that are available, and we want caregivers to be aware of them. So there are two programs here in Long Island. One is we partner with another organization called Willing Hearts, Helpful Hands, and they offer an $1,800 respite grant. And a respite grant really means that you can have a home health aide come into your home and take care of your loved one for a few hours. Maybe yourself as a caregiver need to go to a doctor's appointment, you have some other personal errands that you need to get done. That $1,800 would cover that. In addition, CMS has now also is implementing a program for those who you have to have your diagnosis though, a diagnosis of dementia, but another $2,500 also for respite. Both of these grants, folks, are not based on income, so anybody can qualify. There are different organizations that the home health agencies are partnered with to get these programs, but our organization can help you. We can help you fill out the applications. We can get you connected to them.
But it has to be a certain doctor do the diagnosis you had mentioned?
He
has to be certified or something with them?
Yes.
Can't just be any doctor.
Correct. But we'll help families navigate all of that so that they can qualify.
And the Caring Kind program, if somebody at the end of the year, there's extra funds, if somebody hasn't used it, they can give it to other people. And you can use it towards medication. Mm-hmm. You can use it for people to come in the house, and you can use it to pay for day programs. Mm-hmm. Only criteria is you're a caregiver. You have a caregiver. That's all they're really looking for. And we talked about that. Okay. So when someone can no longer stay in their home, you can offer some guidance for them to go to an assisted living community, because sometimes that's where we have to go.
Yeah, one of the best things that our organization does is we actually partner with many of the other organizations on Long Island, whether they're a business focused on senior living, because while we can provide some support and we offer programs, we don't have the ability or the capacity to provide the support that some families need. So exactly right. Families might come to us and now the disease has progressed and they're looking for a memory care facility. The amount of time time that it takes to really do your due diligence in figuring out what is going to be the appropriate place for your loved one, because they're not all the same, folks, at all. And you really do need your due diligence. That's when we turn to other professionals to help our families.
Yes, and my new business, which I rolled out last month on the podcast, is Assisted Care Advisors, and my experience in the field and helping my clients. There is a great deal of difference, and that's why I want to guide people on how to go in. There's a never cost for services. The companies that you're going to, the communities will pay, and we really have to look and see which neighborhood is the best one for you and what do you need. So you definitely want to consider it, and always do your planning way before it's needed. If it looks like something that's coming down the pike, you want to be prepared. Let's not wait to the last minute and we're all in a crisis. As Lauren has explained, let's sit down and discuss what we need to do as we're going forward. And when we go into these communities, we may have to change our Medicare, and we will order a concierge service helping people guide them through the Medicare.
Excellent.
And Lauren, I want to thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions, please reach out to me. And you can reach out to Lauren if you want, and we can help you. And you can either call my number at Senior Health Plan Specialist, or you can reach out to my new number. Both information will be on the podcast. And please join me for Medicare on Mondays on June 21st, the third Monday of the month. And the topic will be Medicare when I have to move and I relocate from my home. What guidance do I need to do with my Medicare, and what guidance do I need when I'm moving? Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have a wonderful day. Bye.